Well, friends of the world, Maldini, let's analyze this thrashing that Arsenal has given to Real Madrid. Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to analyze. Here we have Declan Reyes, who scored 2 free kick goals. Both goals were impressive, especially the second one into the top corner. Football is incredible because Declan Reyes, as Mikel Arsenal mentioned after the match, had never scored a free kick goal in his life. And the last free kick goal Arsenal scored was in September 2021. Well, today he scored 2. And he scored 2 stunning goals that made it 2-0. Real Madrid played a match, especially the second half, that was dreadful, pathetic, horrible. Real Madrid's performance in the second half. The first half was a bit more balanced, it's true, as Ancelotti mentioned. But the second half for Madrid was, without taking any credit away from Arsenal, it was honestly bordering on the absurd. Real Madrid's second half. Several of the players, Vinicius being one of them, but I don't want to single out Vinicius. I want to thoroughly analyze what it has been, the match, the minimal chances that Real Madrid might have, although we will have time to talk about all that next week. I will comment on the match on Movistar next Wednesday. The Bernabeu is going to be a cauldron, but Real Madrid is going to have to improve a lot. We are going to analyze all that, but first, friends of the world, Maldini, you already know that Fibers is the social network that we football fans needed. And I'll tell you something important, which is that Fibers is giving away tickets for the return match, this return match. Madrid is seeking the miracle at the Bernabeu next Wednesday. Return match of this Real Madrid-Arsenal game. And how can you enter the draw? Very simple. Just follow the Fibers profile. And say who you would go to the match with. That's all. You follow the Fibers profile, say who you would go to the match with, and you enter the draw for tickets to that return match. Real Madrid-Arsenal. A match that is going to be tremendous, certainly. It is evident that the standout player of the match is this one, from Clan Rise, who almost didn't appear in the first half, but in the second half, he excelled with those 2 spectacular free kick goals. This is one of them. He struck the ball wonderfully. It was impressive. They were the first 2 goals of the match, and from there, well, from the first goal, Madrid literally disappeared. Let's see, tomorrow I'm going to Barcelona to comment on that Barca match with Borussia Dortmund in Monaco. Movistar. But you will have the match notes, and I want to do an analysis. You know, I want to make a video with pure editorial opinion on where this Real Madrid team is heading, because today's performance was terrible. Especially nothing worked out for Vinicius, but also, I don't want to single anyone out, I insist, because I will say more in the notes later, but Vinicius didn't even attempt a single dribble. Beyond the errors in delivery, in passing which he had, Vinicius didn't attempt a single dribble throughout the entire match. And that, in the end, if Vinicius isn't being Vinicius Mbappe. In the first half, he appeared a little more, but he was practically ineffective. Well, Arsenal, it's true that in the second half it was a match, honestly. In the first half, both teams were quite cautious not to harm each other. I mean, Arsenal had the ball, dominated, and Madrid also had moments of dominance, but Arsenal always seemed more dangerous, especially with Bukayo Saka on the right and Martin on the left. Martin and Valverde caused a lot of trouble. Madrid couldn't make an impact. In fact, in the first half, he was one of the players who lost the ball the most. From Real Madrid, Lucas Madrid, and from there, the absolute collapse began. Let's look at the starting 11. Friends of the world, Maldini. And tomorrow we are going to analyze many things about this match. Logically, about this debacle of Real Madrid, which has been terrible. Here you have the starting 11. There are the 2 teams, Arsenal with Ryan in goal, Timber, Saliba, Kibior, who was quite poor in the first half, and Luis Skelly, who has consistently played inside, which is always a characteristic of Luis Skelly, the drive to play inside. Also, Thomas from Clan Reyes, Martin Odegaard, who had a very good first half in the second part. Logically, the man of the match is from Clan Reyes. There's no doubt about that. Bukayo. Saka, Mikel Merino, and Martinelli. Merino, who scored the 3-0. Courtois, Valverde, who ended up playing as a fullback. Right. Asensio, Rudiger, and Alaba with Camavinga, Madrid, Bellingham, Rodrygo, Mbappe, and Vinicius. Vinicius and Rodrygo. They have been absolutely missing throughout the entire match. And I don't understand, friends of the world, Maldini, why he hasn't given more minutes. Well, more minutes? No. Hasn't given any minutes to Hendrick, and more minutes to other players. Because in the end, Madrid wasn't even attacking. And I think what caught my attention the most, from the negative point of view of Real Madrid, now I speak about Arsenal, who played an outstanding match. This match is a defining moment for me that Arsenal Without a doubt, scoring 3 goals against Real Madrid, no matter how poorly they have been in the Champions League, is a defining match for Arsenal. What surprised me the most is that Madrid had no capacity for rebellion while losing. 1-0, losing 2-0, and losing 3-0. Madrid was a surrendered team in the second half. That is the reality, and that is the harshness of the match analysis. Surrendered in the second half, Arsenal was winning 1-0, and Real Madrid was waiting. Not arriving, not pressing, not pressuring. Madrid is a team that doesn't press, doesn't recover a ball. Friends of the world, Maldini. And Ancelotti said it the other day, after the match that Madrid lost against Valencia. Madrid could lose 2 titles already in April, the league. We'll see what happens, because Barca's draw still gives them some chance, and they have the champions. Well, it's almost a miracle. It's possible, of course. I'm not saying it's impossible. Then you have the Europa final against Barca. Match details. Martinelli has outplayed Valverde many times. And I have to say something in favor of Alaba, which I didn't understand. Alaba's starting position, in the end, he made 2 very serious mistakes, which were the 2 fouls. Sorry. The first foul is committed by Alaba, and it's a fairly avoidable foul. Of course, it's quite avoidable. But it's true that at least the way of defending in the first half was quite passive. From Alaba, that is to say, he didn't challenge Saka. And Saka found it quite difficult to outplay Alaba. He did it a couple of times, but it was quite challenging for him. But logically, Alaba, I keep saying the same thing, beyond having shown up in the first half, was not ready for this match. I didn't understand why Alaba played this match. Jude Bellingham was one of the few who managed to push the team forward in attack with a couple of passes, but not much more. Not much more. Just a couple of passes, nothing else. Arsenal, aware that they would cause damage on the wings with Martinelli against Valverde and Saka against Alaba, and they ended up doing so there. In fact, in the second half, although it's harsh to say, the best player for Real Madrid by far was Courtois. The best player for Real Madrid by far, friends of the world, Maldini, was this man Courtois. He was the best for Madrid, and Madrid could have lost. 4-5-0, because he saved a couple of balls, especially one from Mikel Merino in the second half. Spectacular. And even so, 3-0, I think the first goal, the wall was not well positioned, despite the fact that I think they needed one more man in the wall, despite the curve. The second goal is unstoppable. It's a shot to the top corner. Undeniable. Absolutely unstoppable. As I said, great match by Arsenal. Great play on the flanks by... I don't want to make a video too long, because tomorrow we will make more videos about this match before I go to Barcelona. You will have the ratings. And, above all, it's a bit later because I finished the broadcast on Cope. And it's a bit later than I like to upload the video quite quickly, you already know, but exceptional. Match by Arsenal. Another player who hasn't appeared, by the way, is Rodrygo. Here we have the 2 sides of a match. Rodrygo absolutely disappeared. And Luis Miquel, who, for me, played an outstanding match, leading the team in midfield. An 18-year-old boy, 18 years old, leading in midfield. Match, I say, absolutely consecratory for Arsenal, and quite the opposite for Real Madrid, which I have. The feeling was already limping a lot. It was limping a lot, and beyond the possibility of a miracle. Let's see. If Arsenal goes to the Bernabeu without any fear of trying to win the match, beating them by 3 goals seems to me an almost impossible task. Not impossible. The only option Madrid has is for Arsenal to play like a small team, which I don't think they will do. With the Bernabeu, diminished by the atmosphere and the responsibility. Here we have Martin Odegaard, who has had a great first half. The second half, perhaps we saw a little less of it, but a great first half of Martin Odegaard, a key player for playing between the lines. And then we are going to see some photos of the goals. We have already talked about everything. I liked Bukayo Saka. I liked him quite a bit. Despite being a bit injured, that's why he didn't finish the match. Then he put me on the right way. Martinelli, which was quite a relief because Lucas Vazquez had come in, and it could have been even worse. Honestly, here we have the majestic strike by Declan Rice in one of the 2 goals. I think this is the first one. And yes, this is the first one. This is the first, and then he scored the second, which was impressive. Terminal state for Real Madrid, friends of the world, Maldini, terminal state. They have the epic and the miracle left at the Bernabeu. But the team practically did not attack in the second half. Players individually were well below their level. In the second half, Mbappe did not appear, Vinicius did not appear, and neither did Rodrygo. Mbappe, in the first half, had a couple of plays, but not much more. Certainly, very little for what a team with the individual level of many Real Madrid players should be. I am going to talk tomorrow in this editorial about why the team is like this, about how the team was coming along. Nobody expected this setback, even though the team wasn't doing well. But it happened. Friends of Mundo Maldini, I want to finish by also looking at, I don't want to stop commenting on Mikel Merino, because Mikel Merino, in the end, here we have the moment of the third goal. What a strike with the left. What a player Mikel Merino is. And Arsenal, in the second half, has humiliated, crushed Real Madrid, has thrashed Real Madrid. That's the reality. Tomorrow, much more, much more. The notes, by the way, aside from a preview video of Barca Borussia Dortmund, tomorrow will be in Barcelona, the notes. An editorial about Real Madrid in general. And let's see if I have time to also make a report on what the match was like before I go to Barcelona, because it's really worth it. Friends of the world, Maldini, a lot to analyze. Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0, an undeniable setback for Real Madrid, and congratulations to Arsenal. I insist, a consecratory match for Mikel Arsenal. A hug? Bye.